Are you one of those girlies that every single January you're buying yourself a new planner, you're making your vision board, you're writing out 3 pages of all your goals, and then something happens by February, you're back on the couch, you're binge watching Netflix, and you are wondering where your motivation went? Did you know that most people actually quit their New Year's resolution by January 17th? Girl, that is not even 2 weeks into the year. And I actually just recently found out that only 6% of people by the end of the year actually achieve their goals that they set out at the start of the year. And now that we have 3 months left of the year, girl, it is time to lock in, because honestly, I used to be a part of the 94%. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Twee, and welcome back to my second episode of my new video podcast series called The Future You. This podcast is dedicated for anyone who has always wanted to step into the best version of their future self, but they just don't know where to start. So we're going to be deep diving into all of the things that I have learned from setting goals, creating them, and my actual framework that has changed my life ever since I have discovered it on how I actually look at goals. Okay, we first off need to start off with the hidden traps that a lot of people fall into, especially when they are trying to set goals. I feel like in life there are 2 different kinds of people. Okay, so let me know down below, what camp do you fall into? I feel like on one side there are the multi-passionate people that wake up and they know exactly what they want to achieve. They know that they want bigger and better things for themselves. They want to do everything. They want to start a business. They're traveling the world. They want to buy a house. They want to learn a new language. They know that they want a better life for themselves. But the hard thing about these people is that they just can't pick one goal. They feel like they have to spread themselves really thin. They have all these dreams, they have all these goals and these aspirations, but they end up not doing any because they don't know what direction they actually need to focus their energy to. Now, the second camp of people is the people that I like to call the blank canvases. You know, there's a lot of people that they actually feel very overwhelmed when it comes to making goals. They kind of like are scrolling through their phone and they kind of see this life of other people and they're like, oh yeah, good for you. But when you ask them like, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? Their mind just goes blank. I have been in both camps. Let me tell you, there's some phases in my life that I feel so clear in my vision. I know exactly what I want to go for. And then there's other times that I feel really demotivated. I feel kind of lost. I don't really know what I'm working towards. A lot of times it actually comes from the same root problem, which is not having enough clarity. If anything, after speaking to loads of really successful people, I've actually noticed that it's not because, you know, they're more focused or they have more time or they have more money. It's actually because they are better at prioritizing. Because prioritizing, making decisions, having a clear goal is all actually a part of a skill. The best thing is, this is a skill that you can actually learn. I think the problem with social media is that a lot of times people look at people who are successful and they think that that person has had a clear vision from day one. You would be surprised, a lot of them has had completely different pivots. A lot of them were starting to go one way and then they ended up somewhere else completely in a different direction. After talking to so many successful creators and entrepreneurs, your dream life isn't something that you find, it's something that you build. And trust me guys, I have learned this the hard way. Okay, girl, let me tell you, when I first started out my career, I was all over the place. Okay, I was working part-time on a makeup counter. I think I was earning like £8 an hour, but I remember dreaming so vividly and having all of these goals, all of these dreams and aspirations. I wanted to be traveling the world. I wanted to go on these brand trips. I wanted to be a celebrity makeup artist. I also wanted to start my YouTube channel. If I could turn back time and tell myself anything, is that you can do it all, but just not all at the same time. There was a time where I was trying to put my finger in every single pie. I was saying yes to everything. Secretly, I was actually burning myself out. You know when you try to do too much, but you don't actually end up achieving anything? Yeah, that was me. And it was only until I actually had to make a decision and actually really lock in and really focus on just one goal at a time. That is when I actually started to see a big improvement and I actually started to hit some of these milestones. I remember the first time that I had to say no to a £300 bridal job because I knew that I wanted to go all in my content. And it's times like that is when you really have to focus on where do you actually want to spread your time? Where do you want to put your energy? A lot of times it's so easy just to say yes, like, yes, I'll do this, yes, I'll do that. But you also have to think, is that actually getting me closer to my goal? And it's the hard decisions like that when you have to be brutally honest with yourself and actually realize that when you make this decision, it's going to reveal the steps for your next decision. I think a lot of times people get stuck in like analysis paralysis, especially the camp that's more like a blank canvas. They don't really know where they kind of see their life. I feel like those are the people that are too scared to make decisions. But trust me, I didn't know that I wanted to build a brand until I started posting consistently. I didn't know that I wanted to build a team before I hired my first assistant. None of this would have happened if I didn't take that first messy step. And it wasn't like I knew exactly what step to take. I just took a step. And that is what I really want to encourage, especially in today's episode, to know what direction you're stepping into and not feeling like so much pressure on making the right decision, because at the end of the day, any decision that you make is the right decision, as long as you're making a decision. When my life coach explained to me that life moves in seasons, I feel like I had an epiphany. And I especially want to talk to anyone out there that just doesn't know what season they're in or what they actually want from life. They're feeling a little bit lost. You do not need to find your forever passion. You do not need to find your forever goal. You do not need to know what you want to do in like 10 years time. I feel like a lot of times when you see goals like that, it can be very overwhelming and it can make you feel like you don't want to take a step forward because what if it's the wrong step? You just need to choose what your passion is for this season of your life, because let's be honest, you are not the same person that you were 5 years ago. If you would have asked me like 10 years ago what my goals were, they will be completely different to what my goals are now. Now that I'm older, like my energy is different, my priorities are different, my capacity is different. And when I think about it, I just don't know why a lot of us just put so much pressure on ourselves to make these lifelong decisions when life moves in seasons. Like when you think about Beyonce, girl, she's not touring all the time, okay? Like there are some months of the year where she is out, she is touring, she's flying. And then there's other times where she's like in her own bubble, she's retreating, she's writing songs. And I feel like a lot of us feel like we have to be on all the time and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. But you know, there's so many times that life just has different seasons for you. And I think when I really understood that, it made me feel so much more relaxed. This is a prime example. When I first found out that I was pregnant, I put so much pressure on myself because I was like, oh my God, how am I going to be filming all the time? How am I going to launch a brand? How am I going to do all these things? But I also realized that life moves in seasons, and there are some seasons where you are meant to be go, go, go. You are meant to be launching brands. You are meant to be showing up as the best version of yourself. But then there's other seasons of your life where it could be winter time, where you are, you know, retreating, you're working on yourself, you are in hibernation mode, you're in monk mode. And I've definitely felt that for a long time, I forced myself to always be on. I forced myself to always show up constantly. But now that I'm pregnant, girl, she forced me to slow down. She forced me to move into another season. And now my goals have changed actually since I've been pregnant. I'm actually learning so much more about myself. I'm learning that I really want to connect with my audience instead of always trying to search for more audience and get more views and find more eyeballs on my page. I want to kind of focus on the followers that I do have and nurture that connection, which is why I decided to do a podcast. Even though I am currently pregnant and I do not need to be taking on any more projects, but I just felt this calling inside of me to really talk to people out there and kind of share my journey on where I came from, how I got here, because I had no blueprint. I had no one show me the ways. I had no connections, and I built this life for myself, and I really wanted a platform that I can actually talk to you guys and actually share the highs, the lows, and how I got here, all the mistakes that I made. And one of my favorite podcasters is Jay Shetty, and he actually done a whole episode about different seasons of your life. So I'll leave the link down below if you guys want to watch it, because it really solidified everything that I was feeling. And there was a quote that he said that really like stuck with me. He said, live your life in seasons and every season will teach you something different. And it It is so true. I feel like a lot of times when you are go, 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 you're feeling all this pressure on why you're not achieving your goals, or you set these goals and you never hit it, you always end up feeling really down on yourself. And it's actually the times where I actually honor myself and I actually allow myself to slow down. That is when I learn the most. You know, there's that car analogy. Like, if you actually want to go far, you need to like slow down, change your tires, refuel so that you can actually get to your destination. That was what I was missing, girl. I was just slamming my foot on the pedal, trying to go 90 miles per hour all the time. And I was just feeling so burnt out. Okay, I feel like it's important for me to talk about the different types of seasons so that you can actually identify what season of life that you are in. So the first season is obviously spring. I actually feel like I'm going through a little bit of like a spring season myself. Spring is like the start of something new. It is when you start to discover new habits. You are learning, you're exploring, you're experimenting. You might be like planting seeds during the season. A lot of times when you're in a spring season, you're kind of like gathering ideas. You're starting to like brainstorm. You might be reading more books or starting new habits. And if anyone is currently in this spring season, it's such a beautiful time. And I would advise anyone to just be kinder to yourself and to just give yourself permission to try. When you're in the season, you do not need to have everything all figured out. You do not need to like research too much to try new things. I think a lot of us have this thing where we need to like, you know, make sure that we're prepared before we actually do things. But when you are in the spring season, like really honor that. Really take your time to immerse yourself in a brand new hobby, in a brand new passion. This is not the season to be mastering anything, okay? We are just trying things out. We are just seeing if we like it. We're just dipping our toe in. This is the season that you should be planting maybe a couple seeds, many seeds at the same time, and then you're gonna see later on exactly what blooms. Next, I want to talk about the summer season, okay? The summer season, oh girl, it's hot girl summer. This summer season is when things are starting to take shape. You might be seeing those little seedlings, they start to grow, they start to blossom, you actually start to get some traction. This is the season of focus. This is the season of energy. This is the season that you need to lock in. Anything that's kind of working, this is the time to double down. You need to start building that momentum. And I think the amazing thing about summertime is when you actually start to action all of the things that you have been excited about, especially in the spring season. Now you're actually starting to get energized, you start to get results, you're starting to feel motivated. If anyone is going through this stage right now, the thing that's going to help you the most is discipline, consistency, having a clear direction. It's such a beautiful thing because you actually start to see like a fire under their belly. They're actually getting some momentum and you can actually have like a clear vision that you are heading down the right path. Okay, now we're going to move into the autumn season, the fall season, actually one of my favorite seasons, because this is the time where you actually start to harvest some of your fruits, some of your labor. You actually feel like your hard work is paying off. A lot of times in this season, you are gaining confidence. You're starting to reap the rewards of your hard work. This is the time where you actually start to see patterns, like what is working, what isn't working, or what do you need to cut out of your life. And I think if anyone is in the autumn or fall season of their life, like the most important thing to do right now is to reflect. You need to also like refine as well, because sometimes I feel like for summer we're like all over the place, we're trying to get everything done, we're like locked in, but sometimes you could be tricking yourself and you could be putting your energy in all these different directions. But with autumn, this is where you actually need to look at the analytics. You need to look at actually what is working, what is it that actually lights you up, what is it that you actually start to see the benefits in, and you actually start to get those rewards, and then you kind of double down on that. And you know what the hard thing about autumn sometimes is that this is the time where you actually realize that you need to make a pivot, or you need to move in a different direction, or you need to kind of like level up your systems now, or you level up the way that you've been doing things, level up your habit. And you know what, sometimes guys, you might need to be planting new seeds entirely during the autumn season, but that is the most amazing thing, because through like the spring, the summer, you kind of learned, you dabbled a little bit, you kind of seen like, do I like this, do I not like this? And then in autumn is where you refine everything. That didn't work for me, that's fine, I'm gonna pivot, I'm gonna choose another direction. But I think that's the most exciting thing about autumn, because you actually start going in the right direction. Okay, now we're gonna move on to winter. It's cold in here, girl. This is the time that you allow yourself to like rest, recover, recoup. It's a beautiful time to actually start to really look inwards and reflect. It's a quiet season that not a lot of people glorify, but it is a much needed season. When I see there's certain people that they just go all the time, I'm like, girl, you need to like go into your winter season, because I think this is the time where you actually have to like pause, you have to slow down, you have to like reconnect with yourself. And if you are in a season of life where you feel a little bit unclear, a little bit uninspired, I think it's so important to remember that winter is not failure, okay? It's actually preparing you for your next spring season. A lot of times we actually need the winters in order to appreciate the summers. I do feel like after I have my baby, I'm gonna enter like a winter season where I'm learning a lot about myself. I might feel unclear, I might feel a little bit discombobulated, a little bit like sad sometimes, and I think it's so normal. I think it's so important that everyone just allows themselves the time to just rediscover themselves. And a lot of times when you have been go all the time, you've been in summer like for the last 5 years, girl, there is times where you just need to like rest and recoup and actually realize like what is actually important to you. Okay, now that we only have 3 months left to lock in, I want you to make just one goal that's dedicated to whatever season of life that you're in. Okay, make sure that it isn't anything that's too crazy, anything that isn't gonna overwhelm you, something that you feel that you can actually accomplish and feel proud of yourself. When you are planning your next goals, think about what season of life are you in right now and what goals can you make for that season of life. I feel like for me, I'm entering this new season of motherhood. I am entering this new season of like kind of learning new things, like figuring out how to use this mic, figuring out what type of content do I want to do again. For a long time, I was pigeonholing myself into just creating beauty content. Sometimes you build a little bit of resentment for always kind of like trapping my own creativity. And I think now I am just learning so much about myself. And I don't know if it's because I'm pregnant and I feel like my mind has been even sharper and even clearer. My future vision, trying to plant my seeds, I'm trying to figure out what is going to work for me in this next chapter of my life. And I really want you to take inspiration from that and look at your life in the same way, you know? The thing that I really want to leave you with is that if you actually want to achieve your goals, you need to be realistic with obviously the season that you're in, but making sure that the goals also are something that you can accomplish. Like I feel like a lot of times when I talk to people, their goal maybe is to like go traveling and they want to, you know, see the world and they want to go outside and live their best life, but then also they have the goal of like, you know, they want to buy a house one day, they want to move out their mum's home. But you have to realize that those are two conflicting goals. They are for different seasons of your life. There are going to be times in your life where you are going to want to travel, you are going to want to go and meet people, maybe leave your job and like go on a sabbatical. You know, that is an amazing season of life and it's so important to honor that, but also be realistic and not have the goal of like, okay, I want to save up £10,000, because if you are traveling, it's going to be very hard to save at the same time. So you need to be very realistic. If your goal is to, you know, you want to buy a home in the next 5 years, you need to like reverse engineer that. If I want to buy a house in 5 years time, how much deposit do I need to be saving? What do I need to cut out of my life? What type of habits do I need to be incorporating now in order to achieve that goal? Another goal that a lot of you guys tell me is that you want to start content creation and you want to start being more confident on camera. Then the goal that I would actually give to you for this season in your life is to step outside your comfort zone. Try just talking on your stories, you know, try doing 3 stories a week. Try dabbling a little bit more about filming your life. You don't have to do anything crazy or dramatic. I want you to set realistic goals, as in, how do I get more confident on camera? How do I actually start to learn about my thought patterns? Because a lot of times your thoughts actually dictate your actions. And if you have like this negative niggling person telling you that you don't look good on camera or you sound like a man, like trust me, we have all been there as content creators. Make sure that you are trying to work on your mindset, trying to work on the thoughts that you tell yourself. Lower that bar a little bit. Just upload that video even if it's messy. Like let go of that perfectionist tendencies. If you are in your autumn season, how can you refine your media kit a little bit more? How can you refine your videos a little bit more? Or how can you look at your content pillars and realize that video isn't working that well, let me pivot to this different type of video. I remember when I first started my content creation journey, I used to look at all these other gardens, like how she get her grass that green, or how she got so many flowers. And I think a lot of us put ourselves in this position where we're just constantly comparing ourselves, and everyone is all at different seasons. Okay, they might have started their content creation journey like 10 years ago, and that's why their garden is flourishing, and you are just at the beginning of yours. So there's no point looking over there, because that is just so irrelevant. We can look at it and maybe admire it, but we are in the beginning stages of planting our own garden. If you are currently struggling with imposter syndrome, feeling like you're not good enough, any limiting beliefs, I actually spoke about this on my last episode, which a lot of you guys actually gave me such amazing feedback for. So if you haven't seen the first episode yet, it's all about what to do when you're feeling stuck, the hidden blocks, awareness gap that I had no idea about that was keeping me stuck. So make sure you go watch that video if you haven't already, because I feel like that video is so important to be self-aware with where you're at now and what's actually keeping you stuck and what's actually stopping you from accomplishing these goals. If you want to dive deeper into this subject and you actually want to learn about how to be a content creator, how I would position myself if I was just starting out, and the 3 mistakes that I have made along my content creation journey, how to actually monetize and make money online, I'm actually hosting a free workshop. I am doing a webinar on the 1st of October, 7 p.m. BST, and I am so excited. It's actually going to be my last kind of like event, my last little hurrah before I go off on maternity leave. So if you are free on the 1st of October, I would love for you to like sign up down below, get your free ticket. There's only limited spots available, but I really wanted a way to connect with you guys. This is the way forward, guys. Small bite-sized goals, being self-aware of the season that you're in, and aligning your goals accordingly. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.